Everybody, this is Matt Greaney here. I want to kind of go through how I'm using technology in my classroom now and how I'd like to use technology into the future. So Infinite Campus is what we use at our district. Um, Anything from taking attendance to seeing your roster to checking in on student data if you have to email a parent, all that personal information's in here. So I primarily use Infinite Campus for those purposes. The base of my classroom work is through Google Classroom, which I'm able to assign different classes, different assignments. So I have my two physical science classes, life science class, and advanced math class as well. And then a district classroom that we're part of for goals that are dealing with their own um, personal growth goals here. That's the TPEG. So each class has a different classroom in itself, and depending on where the class is, I can um, assign different assignments, put up different pieces of material that might be helpful for them. But each class is unique in what I provide. It's depending on what standard I'm teaching in the moment. But this class, you can see, I had different resources that I put on, rubric for their assignments, so they know what to do, and yeah, just different resources available to the student. Um, I find Google Classroom to be amazing. You can have parents sign up with their students so they can get a weekly update as to what the student might be missing, and it really helps with accountability, as we know. Sometimes kids like to kind of sneak out of things, but when the parent is connected, it's a great way to connect what you're doing in the classroom to what they um, might need to be doing at home for homework. So it's a nice feature. So as part of Google Classroom, I also put up assignments dealing with anything. This is specific to my advanced math class that I teach, and it's from Khan Academy. So what's nice about Khan Academy is I can search pretty much any of the standards that I'd be working in, and it a lot of the time will link directly to a video or a video and an assignment. So Sal Khan will teach a class, and then they'll be reinforcing kind of questions and practice for the students after they learn the concept. So it's pretty nice. I'm just getting into it right now, and I see its value, but it's just one little piece of the puzzle. So the nice thing about assessments, which I was speaking about before, is I'm going to move this up just so I have uh, students' identifications respected. But what's nice about assessments is it goes right from the book, which not every student remembers to bring home, but they can also access that online. But it makes it so that students are not only working from the book, but I get to be able to quickly look at um, student data. So below here it says each student the questions that they're working on, what they had for answers that they put in, how long it took them to answer, if they got the question right. This is a really quick way of looking at these are all the questions from the book, and to see what percentage the students were getting right. So I could look at some of the lower um, practice questions and say, all right, well, it looks like only 6 out of 10 students is getting this one right. We want to look at that. It seems like there's a trend going on there. So we use this assessments program, which I think is free. It's through, it's like one of the schools down in Holyoke or Springfield, Mass, and it's actually really helpful. And it pretty much grades the assignments for you and gives you some good data so that you can reach each kid where they are. But we also use, let's see, a variety of Google Suites programs. So this is Google Slides. I'll give assignments, and students will work on assignments as they come available. So this was a an assignment on students had to make a slide, they used to call a PowerPoint presentation, to the class on a specific element. And the student decided on mercury. So I have a rubric that goes with this that will tell what I'm looking for. So I asked that they include the atomic mass and atomic number, and the student was able to use this box from a periodic table to um, to fulfill the rubric standard. So the student was, I think, pretty talented with technology already. Just gave him the assignment and he did the research himself, putting it in his own words, using a works cited page. And this was like, I don't know, this must have been a 1 day kind of filler assignment where I wanted to get some tech integration in there, but also wanted to be working on something relevant to what we've been working on in our chemistry unit. So Google Slides, I threw a Google form out there actually to the students, which I'd like to see if I can find without giving away anyone's names. But let's see, slides, it was a Google Forms, and let's see if I can pull this off without showing any student names. So anyhow, created a Google Forms right here. It was kind of a kind of want to get a feel for how the students are feeling about class, because sometimes you get a different kind of interpretation than maybe how they're comfortable enough explaining to you. I don't know. This is all anonymous, so students get to answer the questions anonymously, and I feel like it's an opportunity for students, if they're not comfortable, to communicate how they're really feeling, but also a way to to get a real good pulse on how the students are interpreting your class, or how they just basically how they're feeling. So I'd ask some questions about what they thought of me as a teacher, and how they were feeling with the standards that they're fulfilling, and if they're feeling comfortable, and what kind of feedback I could get is kind of the goal with this. So I got my responses on this way. This is Google Forms again, and it gives you some good data, some quick and dirty kind of like piece of evidence to kind of guide you and as you're getting your feedback from your students. So anyhow, so to answer the questions from today's assignment that's due, I feel like I'd like to get a little more into podcast apps. I'm seeing the tech integrator at my school right now, who has been with us for a few years. She's really into podcasts. I'd like to kind of pick her brain a little bit. I like how Anchor looks, and I do have a little experience with GarageBand, where you can export to a host site, something like SoundCloud or Blueberry. But I'd like to kind of look into that a little more. How do you plan to ensure you are meeting the technological standards in your classroom? I'd like to, if I was teaching in a classroom, I'd want to make sure that if I was teaching tech ed specifically, that I would be able to have those standards and have them met for every assignment. But as I'm just kind of thinking about my role as a tech integrator, I feel like it would be important, since I would be teaching teachers how to use technology, how I can better support them with the standards, and and how they can better teach the standards, the tech standards that we're expected to teach. Let's see. Personal goals. I'd like to research more on music, art, photography programs for each student. iMovie is decent, but when you can bring in more elements, I feel like students become more personally invested in the program. So, photo booth as compared to iMovie, as compared to any of the other more advanced. I think Lightroom was another program that I was looking into. I think the more advanced, the more opportunity you have to get creative. Some kids can get by on the basics, but it's nice to also have students be able to, to be able to learn as much as they possibly can. And when requesting funding for um, my tech needs. I was looking at Donors Choose. A colleague of mine uses that, and they came up with a proposal, and then donors were able to make donations to the project. I was looking at the NEA, the National Education Association. They have grants each year for tech advancement, as does the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as well. So I think they're all great ideas. That until I'm really moving towards this role, I'm not gonna be doing a ton of research, I guess, maybe just for the classes, but I'll keep my ear to the ground and do my research on my own to see what trends are kind of happening as I move closer to becoming a tech integrator. So that's all for me. Thank you.